Wolong Fallen Dynasty is a very weird game to rank. On one hand, it has very fluent and addictive combat with spectacular, engaging, and incredibly difficult bosses. But then on the other hand, you have a game with horrible PC optimization, lackluster enemy variety, and a boring plot, making this game very disappointing. Wolong truly excels in its combat, and by that I mean the combat is pretty much the only reason to play this game. It's pretty much a rip-off Sekiro, with deflecting being your main way of avoiding damage. However, this isn't even something to discredit the game, as it's really fun and engaging. It's incredibly satisfying deflecting combos and the big unblockable attacks enemies can do. However, it gets stale fast with the low amount of enemies that are in this game. After the first 4 levels, you'll most likely have fought every basic enemy in the game, which just made the later levels a chore to get through, as there was no real reason to fight everything, especially when most of the loot in them is just your 14th sword that's way worse than the one you're currently using. The story isn't anything special either. It's a very similar style to the Nioh games, with just a cutscene to start the level, then one to end after the level's boss, but nothing really happens in them. It's just some people talking about some evil thing they have to defeat in the next level, and so on and so on. I still couldn't tell you anything that's happened in this game, apart from an evil guy is evil and you have to stop him. But I do want to praise the game for its bosses. Some of the bosses were truly incredible. I want to give a special mention to Lu Bu. That guy was absolutely insane. He was the best example of this game's combat. His combos were very fair, and the changes implemented in his off the horse phase were great. He has a very diverse and tricky moveset, which makes mastering it that much better. The horse still running around the arena, even dealing damage to you, is a good touch, although felt more annoying to me, as it always got in the way at the worst moment, like when the boss is just about to attack, and I can't see which one it is to know when to deflect because this fat horse is blocking him. And although the majority of the bosses are really good, I want to rant about the Zhang Rang fight. That one absolutely sucks. It's a cool idea, but the lock-on was completely broken in that fight, with trying to deal with attacks from behind while also trying to kill 8 enemies. It just wasn't fun. There's quite a few moments in this game, as well as the Nioh games, that just feel unfair, with just spamming you with some enemies or bosses with terrible mechanics. It really feels like the developers at Team Ninja used Dark Souls 2 as their inspiration. But for the most part, the spectacle and movesets of the bosses were very hard to learn, but once you start getting better and better, noticing more combos and getting better timing, felt really rewarding and gave me a great time. The game isn't at a good standard graphically either. The designs of enemies and bosses are really cool, and the different armor you can obtain looks good too, but the actual world itself is very dull and just bad. The second level in particular was really poor. It was so bland, and the actual texture quality of things like the rocks and terrain was awful, even with the high settings. But the biggest disappointment about this game wasn't even the game itself, it was the abysmal PC performance. I played this with the PC Game Pass, which I'm so glad I remembered I have, as buying this full price on PC would have been soul crushing. The game never stayed at a consistent frame rate for me, and visual glitches in the early levels were rampant. And then there's the crashes. I crashed more times than dying to the hardest bosses in this game. I have no idea why PC ports are so bad, but this game is a good reminder for me to always play single player games on consoles. I didn't even finish the game before making this video because I quite literally can't. The game has crashed 8 times in a row on this one boss, and nothing I have tried has worked. It really is disappointing, and hopefully there are some patches coming, although the game has already been ruined for me and nothing they do now can change that. So Wolong Fallen Dynasty falls into a weird space for me. There are things to enjoy in this game, like amazing combat and even better bosses, which go hand in hand really well. But that's if you even reach the bosses due to the crashing all the time and dropping frames constantly with boring, repetitive levels and plot. This game is definitely worth it if you are a Souls enjoyer, especially Sekiro, and play on a console, but if anything else, I'd probably just wait for a sale if you're still wanting to play this game. I'm really disappointed by this game, as it is actually fun and feels so smooth when you are fighting the bosses, but everything else is just so average or bad, it really takes away from what could have been a great game. Thanks so much for watching, I appreciate it so much and would love to hear what your guys' thoughts are about the game. Liking and subscribing is appreciated so much as well. Thanks a lot and have a great day.